Hello everybody and welcome to Europa Universalis 5. The idea of this video is to try and help you get started. Spoilers for the England campaign with that date there, I guess. The idea of this video is to try and help you hit the ground running as quickly as possible, give you some tips from what I have learned from the last about 150 hours of play. Not as long as some people, but I think there's a good deal of stuff. I, of course, have an EU5 spreadsheet. And one of the things I've been using it for is writing down all of the different PSAs that I think you might want to know in order to hit the ground running and have a better chance in your first campaigns. So let's first dive into one of the most important stats in EU5, which is crown power. So crown power and estate power are a new feature in EU5, and they work somewhat like they do in mayo and taxes if you have played with that, but differently. The important thing here is crown power. The amount of power that the estates have mostly, not entirely, but mostly matters insofar as it affects your crown power. So tip number one, boost your crown power as much as possible. And there's a couple of ways that you can do that. Well, but let's first talk about why it matters. So first off, having higher crown power means you get more of the trade income that your country generates. So if your country generates 100 ducats in trade, and by your country, I mean markets within your country with you having trade capacity in them. So London here, for example, has got 15 trade capacity right now. If we use that to set up a trade, so let's import, let's just do, why is that not working? Probably need to unpause a second. We are in debug mode right now, by the way, so I can show you these tips more easily, so don't freak out about the fact that there's debug info on some of these screens. Okay, so let's say we set up some trades. We'll just set up some random ones that the game thinks would be a good idea. And now we can see the London market is generating 24 ducats. How many of those 24 ducats we get is determined by our crown power. We have 13% crown power, which means we only get 13% of all the money being generated in the various markets where we are active. So crown power is extremely important. That's just one thing. And even if it were just that, it would be very important because trade is an extraordinarily good way to get bonkers wealthy. Other things it does, it makes your cabinet more efficient. This is your ability to core. This is your ability to culture convert. This is your ability to stabilize the country. This is your ability to gain legitimacy. This is your ability to suppress rebels. This is your ability to push the values of your country in a different way. Incredibly important. Diplo rep. This is your ability to get people to accept stuff. It also decreases the amount of aggressive expansion you take, now called antagonism. As you can see, it gives you 11% trade income. This is additive, so it just means you get 11.3% income, straight up. It makes the estates less happy when you destroy their buildings. It makes your parliaments more successful. We'll get into parliaments later. It lets you change policies faster. It lets you tax more. It's insanely, insanely important. And it's a zero-sum game. So how do you get more crown power? Number one, make sure that your cabinet, if possible, has people in it who are in the crown estate. You can tell that because of this thing here, and you can see it more easily by just filtering in here by crown. So St. Thomas Plantagenet, we're definitely going to put him in the cabinet. Now we have him in the cabinet. Because he represents 100% of the cabinet, we will notice that under crown power, we get... Oh, no, it doesn't work that way with cabinet. That's interesting. Okay. One member in the cabinet representing half the cabinet, therefore 12.5%. There's 25% bonus up here for grabs. If you go with your army, and you put someone in charge of your army who is a member of the crown estate, you will notice that you get 25%. That is 25% split amongst all the armies. So if we split this army in half, and we select the other half, and we put someone from the nobles in charge, we will see that we are now getting 12.5% because, 18.75. That's interesting. And how much are they getting? 6. Oh, sorry, because it's based on the proportion of the army in each case. So here we have 3/4 of the army currently commanded by the crown. So we're getting 3/4 of that 25% bonus. The nobles are getting the remaining 25% of that 25% bonus, 6.25. Makes sense. The same applies to navy. There is another 25% up for grabs by having your navy 100% controlled by the crown. So right out of the gate, if you get your cabinet full of crown people, you get your army and your navy completely commanded by crown people, that is 75% additional crown power immediately, which is very, very, very strong. And I recommend you do this if you can. But there will be limits to that. You will run out of people in your crown estate, and they might not be the best. So there's give and take to be done there. Okay, so that's a few ways to get crown power. Other ways, there are many reforms that will give you more crown power. Reforms are like privileges, but for the crown estate. So that works pretty well. The main other way that you get more power for the crown is reducing the power of the lords, clergy, burghers, and yeomanry, or generically speaking, nobles, clergy, burghers, and peasants or commoners. So how do you do that? Well, one of the big ones is not giving them the positions that I've just discussed. Oh, also the head of the cabinet grants head of cabinet, which gives all these bonuses, and it also gets this modifier. So by having the crown as the head of the cabinet, you get even more crown power. So that's 100% crown power available to you as some people who have enough members of the crown group to put people in charge of different things. Of every, on day one, you can get 100% more crown power, which is bonkers. And you should absolutely try and shoot for that if it is plausible for you. The main one is not giving them those things, because you might, if let's say you had loads of lords in your country, you give out loads of loads of commands to the lords, members of the cabinet, head of the cabinet. Suddenly your lords are way more powerful. This is a zero-sum game. Notice that these percentages should add up to, there'll be some rounding, 100%. If you empower the lords, you disempower the crown. Don't do this. Number 2, revoking privileges. Look at the modifiers these give. Plus 50% power, plus 50% power, plus 50% power, plus 50% power. Lots and lots and lots of modifiers in here that give huge amounts of estate power. You want to get rid of these. That is my tip. This isn't what are we on? Number 4. I've written a whole bunch down in a text document. The title is going to be like 50 tips or something, because that's how many there are in my text document. But I'm not going to go through and say like number 2, number 3, because it's all flowing into each other. It's a stream of consciousness. I feel like I'm in a hurry, even though I'm not. Let's keep it rolling. To get rid of privileges, you will note it's extraordinarily expensive in stability. Stability goes from minus 100 to plus 100. It would currently cost 221 stability to get rid of this. That's bonkers, obviously. Now you can see that the base cost is 400 stability. It's modified down to 55% of that base cost because their power is 55%. So of course you want to try and lower their power in order to lower the stability cost that it takes to revoke their privileges. Another tip, lower the tax on an estate before you revoke their privileges, because the revoking of it itself will knock out a lot of the loyalty on that particular estate. My other tip, another tip, throw in there. Generally speaking, just automate all of your taxes. It makes it such that they are at 50% happiness, which is generally where you want them to be. But if you're about to revoke it, unautomate and then change it, if possible, such that their loyalty is trending to 80. Because then when you revoke it and they lose 30 loyalty, they'll be at 50, which is the baseline that they normally trend towards. So you're looking to revoke these privileges, right? You're looking to not give out too many and to revoke some. But remember, it's a zero-sum game. So if we want to weaken the lords, one thing you can do is empower the crown. One thing you can do is not empower the lords. One thing you can do is revoke privileges from the lords. Another thing you can do is change laws, and we'll get to laws. But another thing you can do is empower the other ones. So there's some pretty good clergy ones to give out early. This, for example, gives progress to centralization, which we'll get to. This gives them more power. Giving them more power gives the crown less power, but it gives the nobles less power as well. So I like early on, if you're a monarchy, my tip is I would empower the crown and the other estates to disempower the nobles. If you are a republic, on the other hand, try and empower the crown and maybe empower even some of the other estates to disempower the burghers, because the burghers are going to be very, very powerful if you are in a republic. In the end goal is a maximally powerful crown. So don't give out too many privileges to people without a strong reason. Sorry, my dog wants to interject. Hello, buddy. Come here. Touch. Good boy. Up. There you go. Oh, the other tip. Oh, isn't try not to tangle your dog's head in the cables. There we go. Hello, buddy. Hello. Oh, he's a good boy. I've got to give them some tips. They want to play EU5 and do well. Is that all right? All right. Next tip. So, next tip. You're trying to revoke these things and the stability cost just seems way too high. Tip 1. Don't stress stability too much. It's not crippling. It's not devastating to lower your stability. It's pretty bad, but it's not totally devastating, so don't worry about that. But the other one is to do with values. And let's take a quick look at values, and I'm just going to give you some really, really quick advice here. Number 1, using your cabinet to change social values with the dip stat is powerful as all hell. So this guy right now is applying, where is it? 0.15 on changing our centralization value. That's big. That's big because Values can only trend to whatever it would be, 100x the drift value. So if it's drifting towards decentralization 0.25 right now, it can only go as far as 25 towards decentralization, right? So by adding on that extra 15, you unlock being able to go 15 more in the direction that you want to go. Very impactful. So you want to revoke privileges. What do you want to do? You want to go, where is it? Communalism, because communalism reduces the revoke privilege cost by up to 50%. This is massively, massively impactful. It also makes the states more happy, which makes it easier to not make them devastatingly unhappy, which can be good. Societal value importance modifier. What is that? How much the AI country values? Ah, yes, right. I think this is to do with international relations. Countries will come into conflict or not, partly based on their social values, which is pretty cool. I think that's what that's about. It might also be that this is only showing because we're in debug mode, because I don't remember seeing that before. Anyway, so this is what you want. You want to crank this up. You want to empower the other estates a bit. You want to empower the crown, and then you want to get rid of the privileges of the lords. You want to do, you know, c'est le moi, or however you pronounce it. I am the state, and the crown is I. So you want to try and empower the crown. It will be called things like republic power in some other contexts. But yeah, this is what you want to do. That's the first main tip. This is a goal that will last the first 150 or so years of the game. You basically want to try and focus on buffing up the crown as much as possible. It's rewarding, gives you loads of buffs. That's tip, I don't know, 1 through 5 or something. Let's look at some other traditional values. You should, in my opinion, before you unpause, read every single one of these tooltips. Look at what the bonuses are, decide which way you're going to try and go, and what your priorities are. It's fun, it's interesting. This is kind of idea groups. If you're not familiar, this is basically how idea groups are working, kind of, in EU5. But super, super quickly, you don't want to read all that. You just want to unpause and play at speed 5 because you just want to see the content and see the stuff. Fair enough. Go centralization, innovative, humanist, plutocracy, free subjects, belligerent. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. Naval, capital economy, and communalism. There you go. Thank me later. The ones that's really debatable there is land versus naval. If you're trying to build a naval empire, go naval. If you're trying to build a big land empire, go land. Pretty simple. That's values. And yes, use your counselors to push these. You can only do that with one at a time. To push these, so let them drift naturally to the highest they can be, and then use the counselor to push them even a little bit further. Pretty cool. So that's values. How do you change values? With laws. So the next one is don't ignore your laws. One of the things you can do at a parliament is change a law. You can change a law without, because normally if you want to change a law, it's going to cost you a whole load of stability. What does that cost based on, by the way? It's 100 multiplied by your crown power. It's increased by crown power. Maybe it's only increased by crown power because it's under 25. Yeah, that's my guess. I think it's because we're under 25%. It's being increased by half of the amount that we're under 25%. Not totally certain. Anyway, changing these without affecting stability can be done during parliaments. So do that. My other advice to you is go into all of these and read what they do. There's a lot of them. But yeah, look at what they do. Notice, see where you want them to be. And if you're like me, make a little note. Say, I want to change this law, and this law to this, this, and this. And my priorities for country modifiers are this, this, and this. Do the values reading before you do the laws reading, because one of the main things the laws do is change the values. So once you know what values you want, you will know what laws you want. Very briefly, the things that you want out of a law are basically A, better levies, in some case. I think that's probably most important. B, the social values you want. And C, the crown power. Many of them give you crown power. So for example, right now the legal code is based on common law, which gives us less stability, cheaper stability and happier estates. Moving towards centralization is really good, because centralization gives you crown power, up to 50% crown power. Bonkers strong. Go for that. That's law really quickly. And we're moving on because I don't want this video to be too long. I want it to be nice, helpful, and compact. Parliaments. You call a parliament and you get a bunch of issues that each of the estates want you to do. The amount of extra support in the parliament you get will be based on how powerful the estates are. Don't give out privileges in parliaments, because we're trying to reduce privileges, remember. When you have over 50%, the issue that you called the parliament for, which is nice and intuitive, when you click this button, it says, hey, do you want to, what the estates all have these different proposals. What do you want to do? If it's over 50%, it will pass. If it's under 50%, you'll lose 7 stability and the issue will fail. Here's my tip. don't worry about it failing so much. A lot of the time, getting an extra law change in by using 50% support in Parliament up twice is more valuable than the thing that you called the Parliament to achieve. Often what I will do is call a Parliament with something that the nobles want to happen, and that means you get extra bonus power because the nobles tend to be strong. Then you fabricate a CB, because this is one of the only ways to fabricate CBs. There's another tip for you. Virtually the only way to fabricate CBs is via Parliaments, which you can only do once per year. So use those CBs wisely. Declare war on people that have lots of allies, and don't be shy about taking a lot of land in each war that you get a CB for. But a lot of the time, what I find myself doing is calling the Parliament, fabricating a CV, and changing a law. And then there's no way I'm going to pass this thing, because realistically, I'm not going to get 150 support in one Parliament, probably. But it doesn't matter. It's 7 stability. I'll take 7 stability hit to change a law, which might otherwise cost me 100 stability to change. Bonkers. So use Parliaments. Don't be afraid about failing Parliaments. That's that tip. Next up is about angry estates. If estates are under 25% loyalty, it does say in this tooltip, if you go right the way down, if it is low enough, we will not be able to recruit army levies and navy levies. Now, this is something that I missed, and it's important. Because if you have under 25% estate satisfaction, they give you no levies. Now, the bulk of your estates are feudal levies from the commoners. You can see that in here. You can see that from the peasants, we're levying all of these. Now look at the numbers of people you're levying from anyone who is not peasants, and look at the numbers here. If the peasants are under 25% loyalty, you will get virtually no levies and you will be crushed. Any war you start, you will be crushed to death. It will be ugly. Don't start wars with under 25% levies. Sorry, 20% satisfaction, and basically never have under 25% peasant satisfaction. Otherwise, you will be stomped. Your neighbors will notice how weak you are, and they will stomp you. That is the tip on that. Do not allow your peasants to be unhappy, or you will find yourself in a very, very bad way. Next tip, when you want to fight a battle, you get your armies together. Let's just declare a war here real quick. Hey, France, screw you, buddy. So we're in a war. We raise our levies. We raise all our levies, and we wait, and they, you want to start the 100 Years' War? Surprise, I already did. So here's the army, right? I have this big army here, and I bulk them all up. Whoa, I didn't know. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Never mind. Let's say you bulk them up, and let's say we're France, right? And we're sieging Rochester and Windsor. And we think our armies, they're pretty close together. If we get attacked in Windsor, we'll be able to reinforce from Rochester, right? No. The battles are really fast. Do not rely on reinforcements. Now, they've slowed them down since the beginning of the kind of recording build. On the initial recording build, the battles were over in like half a day, which is a lot more realistic, but means that reinforcements are basically totally useless. It's not quite that fast anymore, but basically be very careful about relying on reinforcements. Battles are insanely fast. And I'm going to go through some more quick fire tips here. The Black Death. The Black Death is coming, and it is brutal. It will wipe out about half of your population, more or less, no matter what you do. So just brace for that. Don't build too many buildings early on, I would say. There are some things you should build, like marketplaces. That's another tip. Build marketplaces. Marketplaces are bonkers strong. We are making 16 ducats in trade, right, from London right now, off 15 trade capacity. One marketplace adds 1 trade capacity. That would be a 1/15 increase. That's essentially an extra ducat of income coming in just from this guy. They're crazy, crazy, crazy good. You want to build a bunch of marketplaces. You can only build them in cities. It's one of the main reasons I feel motivated to build cities. You can build more buildings in a bigger city as well. Sorry, towns and cities. So the Black Death is coming. Counselors. Counselors are really cool. Another thing I recommend you do before you're on pause, read all of these. It's cool. It's very cool, the things that they can do. Lots of this is stuff that you used to do with mana. Now you do it with people, and it's logical, and it's coherent, and I love it. So read through all of these. Many of them are strong. Something that you might miss. This. Rebel crackdown is really, really good. When you crack down on some rebels, so these Scots Patriots, for example, are rising up, because we have a little bit of Berwick up here. If we were to put this guy on the Scots Patriots, they would go from progressing at 0.3 per month to negative 0.5 per month. In other words, this one guy can stop the Scottish rising up. He's juicy, this guy. Thomas Plantagenet, he's powerful. So use them to stop troublesome rebellions. Another thing I'll say, another tip though, rebellions, not that bad. Don't worry about it. You can hover over rebellions in the outliner if they're in here, which I don't know why they're not. Rebels. I guess we don't have any that have progressed enough to appear in the outliner. You can hover over them in the outliner in order to see which land they will take when they rise up, because remember that rebels are proper countries now when they rise up. But yes, don't fear rebels too much. If they're just taking a little bit of land, it's okay. Let them rise up and crush them. It feels like, because it's a proper war these days, that it's a lot more threatening than rebels in EU4 were, but I wouldn't stress it. But having someone to just stop the rebels at the bad moment when you really, you're fighting a war, your army's overseas or something, can be extremely useful. Okay, so that's counselors and rebels. Next thing, and again, we're going through these. These are in the order that they occurred to me, by the way, from here on. We had that concentrated period on crown power. Now we're going just point by point down my list. You might not notice early, but forests and hills. Where are some hills? It's a bad place. Why did I look towards the Netherlands when I said that? Forests and hills can block vision from land and sea, which means that if you stand here and the enemy is standing here, you can't see them. That is, you might not notice this early on, and it will screw you over. So pay attention to the type of land they're in. The tactical map mode is really nice for this. Seeing what different types of land there is, it also shows you where the forts are. What it doesn't show you, though it will soon, it's on their to-do list, is the capitals of provinces, and this is important for fighting. So you can see here that white is the capital of this province. This is a location, this is a province. To update your language. Leverham here, Leverham? Where is that? Okay, Norwich. I know how to say that one. Norwich is the capital of this province. If you siege this, all of this gets auto-sieged. It takes about twice as long as a normal siege for the auto-siege to complete. It can be stopped by a nearby fort or an enemy army on the province. Okay. So, siege province capitals, don't waste your time carpet sieging everything. It makes the siege, I mean, if you see how many provinces there are, you can see how boring it would be if you had to siege every single province. It makes that way more frictionless. Really, really nice. Check garrison sizes. So we just lost, this wasn't a fort, was it? But let's say we took Ames and then they retook it. The garrison takes a long time to replenish. It starts with 250 people. It replenishes very, very slowly. So you want to make sure that you get in there and then you assault. You can assault as long as there are less than not very many people. Like 25 is probably pushing it, honestly. But when they're really low, and they will be low for months after they retake it, you can siege straight through. It's pretty good. Next, don't trust this number. This number is currently just broken. Maybe they'll fix it for release, but I kind of doubt it. Don't trust this number either. Sometimes these numbers are just wrong. This is more reliable, but don't trust this number when trying to determine how strong an enemy is. You might say, oh, so annoying, there's no way to tell. Fortunately, there is. Trust this number. When you're going to declare war on someone, you can see the land comparison between strength. You can see the potential levies on each side, and that is the number that you should be depending on to know how strong people are. Okay, boats, I swore in how I wrote this one down, but boats are freaking fast, is how I shall put it. Watch how quickly this boat can get down to Aquitaine. It's the 21st of July. It took, what is that, less than a month? Yeah, it took like 9-10 days to get from London to the tip of the Pyrenees here. They're really, really, really fast. And what you should do, knowing that, is boat bomb the bejesus out of people. It's especially viable as England against France early, because they're going to siege you here and they're going to siege you here. And what you're going to do is get all your boats. Oh, hello. Yeah, the AI is really bad at defending their transports, by the way. So there goes Normandy's whole army sunk in one tick, because we were using proper ships and they were using literal fishing boats, which is what the navy levies are in the First Age. You're going to put all your army on a navy, and then you're going to boat bomb the Christ out of them, because there is no landing penalty anymore. So boat bomb away. I'm sure it'll be nerfed very, very soon. Missions. You will notice that I have no missions, but if I go into game rules, what I'd need to do is turn on missions. And we'll say every task rewards. There we go. Does that just change instantly? Do I not have to hit save somewhere? Maybe I have to hit save somewhere. Anyway, you can turn on missions in the game rules here. I recommend you use them for your first couple of campaigns and then don't. Missions are tutorials. They offer bonuses that are kind of overpowered, honestly, but that's fine, right? When you're tutorializing the game. Let's leave the market map mode up while I waffle, by the way, because I think it's kind of gorgeous. You don't want to use missions when you're doing kind of serious campaigns, in my opinion, because they're pretty overpowered. For example, let's say you wanted to develop a capital economy in London. And we go in here, and here's the mission tree. When we're embracing the capital economy, we get 365 days in which we get plus 0.5 progress towards capital economy, which is bonkers. That lets you push the slider 50 points in a particular direction. It's crazy, crazy strong. You stack that with a bunch of modifiers. You stack that with someone pushing it. It goes bananas. Many of these are kind of broken. Also, you can do some missions over and over again. You can get infinite development. You can get infinite money. It's annoying. Just don't cheese it. I'm sure they'll fix it for now. But it's a tutorial. You don't need to cheese a tutorial. Have fun without cheese, in my opinion. But yeah, use the missions. They are tutorials, but don't expect them to be the whole flavorful things that they are in EU4. I don't like them in EU4, so I'm kind of happy about that. But they work really, really well as tutorials. Next, allies. So people will not ally you. Let's cheat a second here. Yes, man. People will not ally you if you have a coalition against you. How can I easily I guess I can just wait to lose this war a bit and then switch to France. So people will not ally you if there is a risk, even a small risk, of even a small coalition against you. So be careful. If you have allies and you get a relatively small coalition against you, they will break their alliance almost immediately, and you won't get a pop-up because there's no way to get a pop-up about that. I've told the devs, hopefully they'll add it. So be careful. Coalitions are not that threatening, however, and this is something that I want to talk about as well, especially as someone like England, who starts out, honestly, really, really strong. You can get a coalition, and I have, of massive swathes of the HRE. You can fight it and you can win, because the HRE is not scary anymore. That's another tip on my list. The HRE has all these provinces in it, right? But they don't have a base tax income. They don't have a base manpower income, which means they're not wildly overpowered anymore. In EU4, if you unify the whole HRE, it's massively, 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 massively weaker than a fragmented HRE like this, because you lose dozens of base tax incomes and base manpower incomes. That's not the case in this anymore. Now, you have all these little people, but they're completely impotent. Like this Mains here, for example. If we were to declare war on them, I can't. Because we have our levies raised, right? Yeah, let me stand down my levies. So let's say we were to declare war on Mainz. Mainz has... it's hard to see because Upper Bavaria is coming in to join them. But Mainz has, I mean, yeah, they have no men. The game reckons they can levy one dude. That's not representative. But some of these guys are very weak. Very, very, very weak. So you do not need to worry about coalitions as much, except they will obliterate your ability to make allies, and they will obliterate existing allies. That's that tip. Next tip, and again, I know these are slightly random. Sorry about that. It's just the order in which they occurred to me while I was playing. If you want a readable save file to edit something or to look into something, enter debug mode. How do you enter debug mode? You launch the game with the launch argument -debug_mode. You can hit tilde once you're doing that. But when you save in non-debug mode, the save is unreadable, even if you are not in Iron Man mode. So bear that in mind if you want to do some save editing or search things down. You can right-click an army now. Yeah, so if I have an army selected, you'll notice that my cursor turns to a little sword when I hover over these guys. I can right-click, and it will chase down that army. Nice little quality of life thing to avoid having to micro quite as much. Maintain your forts. So you have naval maintenance, army maintenance, navy maintenance, just like before. Fort maintenance. If you are at low fort maintenance, your provinces will fall, including non-fort provinces, in like 5 days in a siege. Having fort maintenance is exceedingly, exceedingly important. And let's talk about some other maintenances for a quick second here. When sending... okay, no, let's take a step back. Proximity. Proximity is one of the extremely important mechanics they've added. In order to get from London to Coventry, this is the route you have to take. Hover over each section. It tells you how long that section takes. And what it does is it effectively, you start at 100 and then gets reduced. By every step you got to take somewhere, it gets reduced. Taking steps over land essentially is reduced by lack of roads, bad terrain, things like that. Taking steps over the water, however, is affected by maritime presence. You can see that in the Thames here, we have 49 maritime presence. One of the main things you do with your navy, and this is effectively the equivalent of protect trade, is patrol the seas. You go patrol the seas, you select the area you want to patrol, and now the navy will go out and patrol the area, and because the navy's there, we're getting this extra maritime presence. Invest in navies, patrol the seas, because it reduces the proximity cost of traveling between locations. Incredibly, incredibly important. Now, also, maintain the navy. Right now, it's going up by 0.5. If we don't maintain the navy, it's going down by 0.07 because all of these modifiers that were giving us maritime presence have suddenly gone away. So essentially, never lower naval maintenance, in my opinion. So yes, to get better proximity, build roads, build ports. You'll need to invent ports. Invent ports, build ports, patrol the seas. Those are the main things. Also, build a naval empire. It's wildly easier to communicate with a naval empire than a land-based empire, which I think is perfectly historical. Next, families in command help crown power. Done that one. Yes, you can swap mission trees without finishing. So let's say you got stuck on something in here. Oh, by the way, mouse 5 is back, and I don't know how to rebind it. So have a mouse with mouse 5, I guess. Because I can go here, and then mouse 5 takes me back here. But yes, I can just switch to another mission tree at a whim. I can switch to another military tree at a whim. You lose progress in the other tree, but you can go back to it. Sometimes you can't for a while. I'm not sure exactly what triggers that. Barrage and sieges. Okay, so to siege a province, if we take a look at this siege here, you can see there is a cannon bonus. You can get a cannon bonus between 0 and 5. How much bonus you get depends on the barrage stat of your cannons. The basic cannons that you get in the second age, which are here, you can see, oh, actually doesn't show, yeah, there it is, has 3 barrage. It takes 6 barrage for 1 point, 12 for 2, and so on, as I understand it. Not doubling every time, going up by 6. As I understand it. But the level of fort will affect the amount of barrage that you need in order to do it. There you go. Hopefully that's helpful on barraging forts. Yes, this is one I wrote down, but I think it's been patched. Royal marrying is broken. If I marry Bohemia, let's say I marry some random cousin of the Emperor of Bohemia, of the King of Bohemia, rather. Is he blind? It's interesting. Does he have like a blinded trait? Anyway, if I marry some random cousin in Bohemia and then the King of Bohemia dies, I get a personal union CB. It's broken as hell. As soon as you start getting PUs, people stop accepting your marriages. Basically, is how they fixed that in the short term. But I assume there's going to be developments to that in the longer term. Yeah, patrol the seas. Your home region, by which I mean, if you go region, our home region is obviously Britain. Your naval presence in this region affects the speed of colonization. And that was slightly counterintuitive when I was first reading that. So patrol your home region to colonize more. Yes, hover over the name of an action when you can't do it to see the requirements. So we want to influence a French republic. Sorry, a French subject. How do we do that? How do I know how to do that? Well, it just says requirements not met. Oh, you can hover here now. Okay, they fixed this one. Never mind. You can hover in here or here. That's good. I'm glad they fixed that. But yeah, hover here. It'll tell you. Before you had to hover here, and it was really annoying, but I made a bug report, and it looks like they have fixed that. Excellent. So yeah, hover here to know why the requirements aren't met, and it will tell you what the different requirements will be. Unfortunately, no available targets is not working, and it won't tell you who the available targets are. Never mind. Never mind. Well, another bug report for me, I guess. To know how much an institution has spread, so meritocracy here, for example, if you hover here, you can see where it has spread. But let's say you want to keep on this map mode, the institution map mode. Obviously, this is more relevant when they aren't just either everywhere in Europe or nowhere in Europe, as will be the case with Renaissance banking impressional armies when they appear in not very long, 4 years. About 6 years after game start, you get the second age, which is cool. I like that you're kind of straight into the age mechanics, institution mechanics. The way you do this is you put a hotkey on institutions. So right now it's Control-I, hover over it, hit that hotkey, and then there's your map mode. Nice. I think you might be able to do it by clicking here. Yeah, they fixed it. This was a suggestion I made, and they've done it. Excellent. So you can lock this tooltip. Set the setting, by the way, so that you can lock tooltips with middle mouse click, which is really nice, or with whatever you want, and then click here. And now we're looking at the meritocracy map mode. Obviously, it's more productive when there's actually something to see there. Pop growth is really important. You're going to run out. You're going to find yourself running out of people. It happens, especially after the Black Death. So you want to try and drive as much pop growth as possible. You get 0.03% pop growth per 12 months of stored food in the province. The amount of food you can store is based on buildings like granaries. So the tip, I suppose, is build your granaries. You want lots of food capacity so you can get lots of pop growth. Literacy. Literacy is important. Here's the average literacy across Europe at game start, but literacy is not just in a province. Literacy is per pop group, and it gets quite complicated. Often, the limiting factor is the maximum literacy rather than the literacy growth. Clerical literacy affects the ability to convert and the ability to convert religion and the ability to convert culture. Noble literacy affects the ability to increase your control in a province up to its control limit. Burgher literacy affects, I honestly can't remember, local development growth and burgher trade capacity. Nice. Laborers affects the maximum RGO size and the RGO size. That's like the basic resource gathering operations and the production efficiency. Soldier literacy affects manpower and forward defense. Peasants literacy affects promotion speed. So peasants becoming, sorry, that's not a peasant. And the levy recruitment speed, which is completely pointless. Read through all those. Some of them are important. Try and buff up your literacy. It's how you get your technological edge. Join a foreign order of chivalry with every ruler. Right click. We don't have one available right now. Bad example. Tag Gen. Over here in Genoa, they don't have one either. Very soon after game start, I don't know if this is seeded or just happens to happen every time, Hungary will found a order of chivalry, and then you can join it, and it will give you 15 of one of these stats, which can be really important. I guess that's another tip. Read these. Read all of these. The main thing that these stats do is affect your cabinet. So if you have a really high admin stat ruler, you'll be able to do things that with your cabinet more effectively when those tasks are admin tasks. So when you're looking in here, you can see that this is a diplo task, this is admin, this is military. The speed with which you do things, so let's set this guy to decentralization. You can see here that there's these various modifiers. The ruler is as impactful as the cabinet member themselves. So the stats that you have on your ruler are very important to the ability of your council to do things. When you are exploring territory, like let's say you want to explore down here, this is explored, this is unexplored, but can be explored, and this bit here can't be explored, right? Right click and start preparing an exploration, and then pick where you want it to go from. Don't go in here, because this list gets real long, real fast. Right click, start preparing an exploration. You can only separate piece out secondary participants in a war 12 months after the war has started, unless you have them fully occupied. That one will save you some time, for sure. Yes, aggressively ensure everyone in your realm, especially people, well, almost exclusively people in your crown estate, most importantly, are married. You need to create more people. I have an ongoing, let's call it a discussion with Johan about this. When you have too many characters in your realm, the game kicks in and goes, too many people, our performance is going to go down, stop everyone getting married. And literally no one in your country gets married. It's broken, in my opinion. Johan doesn't agree. Lots of the devs, in fact, don't agree. But you can circumvent this by aggressively getting your people married, and especially get everyone in your crown estate married. Because as we discussed, members of your crown estate are really important. You want to get lots more people in your crown estate so you can use them for different things. So there's more likely to have good stats. When you have a rebel rise up against you, don't miss that in the negotiations screen, there is a button, and I haven't got a great example to show you right now, but there is a button right here, which you can't select right now, which you can always select to annex all locations. Even if you just clicked on their provinces here, it would go above 100 war score. Also, control click to select whole provinces at once, which is nice rather than just going location by location. Unselect by right-clicking or control right-clicking, by the way. That took me a minute to realize, even though it is literally in this tooltip. Don't miss the button that lets you full annex rebels. You might think, oh, it's so frustrating. It's like the Belgian revolt all over again in EU4. They rose up, but now I can't take them back in one war. Stress not, you can. The button is right there. Don't explore with someone over the age of 38 until they fix the bug that means that when you're exploring, your life expectancy is set to 38. And if you are over 38, you die almost immediately. It took me so long, and Johan a while, less long ones, he actually started looking into it, which I very much appreciate that he did, to figure out why the heck all of my people were dying. But it's because I was exploring with people who were over the age of 38, and there wasn't anyone under the age of 38 because no one was getting married. Anyway, don't explore with people over the age of 38. Manually put cannons in the back flank of your army. So where's an army here? We have an army, we go to formation, here they are. And there's 3 buttons, right? Left, middle, or right. That's the only places I can put them, right? Wrong. Right click. Move them to reserves. If your cannons are in the front, they'll get massacred. So put the cannons in the back. Unfortunately, when you auto balance it, it will always put cannons in the front, which is unfortunate. Put the cannons in reserve. They still fight, and they still do damage and stuff, but they won't get annihilated in battles quite so quickly. The recovery effort on your council is crazy strong. You should use it. So recovery effort is here. Prosperity recovery plus 5%. That's flat. That's not additive. So let's say a province gets sieged like this. You will notice that its recovery is down to minus 65. That's going to take ages to recover. We're only getting 0.2 a month. No. You're going to get a base of 5.0 per month from recovery effort, and it's then positively modified. You can have recovery effort when it's occupied. That's funny. It's giving 8 after all the stat modifiers are applied. 8% a month. So it's going to be fixed up in just half a year rather than in ages and years and years and years. Recovery effort. Very good, strong. Very good, strong. Very useful. Very good for buffing up your nation after you have fought a war. What are other tips I can tell you? Buffing up your levies from the parliament is really strong. It gives you a very substantial 25% bonus to the size of all of your levies. Can be really good before a big war, like, for example, the 100 Years' War. 100 Years' War related tip. The war goal in 100 Years' War is to control the whole province of the enemy capital. The war itself may tell you that it's about superiority. It is in this one because it's not a proper 100 Years' War. It lies. Take the capital and take the whole province of the capital. Next, if you're in the 100 Years' War and you're at peace and you do not have a truce with your enemy, then once every approximately 9 months, you will get a CB to claim the throne if you're England. So don't just immediately declare war on France for something else. Wait for that claim throne. You also need 15% of France under your direct control or your vassal's control in order to claim the throne of France. Next tip about PUs. If you PU somebody, they're not your subject, which means they don't have liberty desire. So as England, don't be shy. Don't be shy. PU France. There can be some problems. If their great power score is higher than yours, they might end up as the senior partner. Just because it was originally the King of England and then became the King of France doesn't mean that France is never going to be in charge. Ask Scotland about how that went when their king became King of England. England was definitely in charge, despite the fact that it was a Scottish king that also became the King of England. Trade. Trade is the best way to make money. Focus on trade if you want to make more money. The main way to decide where to build is to build places that you have high control, so near the capital early on. Don't be shy about founding cities and towns. They're expensive. You make less food, but you can always import food. At least in my experience, you can often import food, and you can build loads more useful buildings in towns and cities than you can in just rural provinces. I think that's all the tips. That's what I've got written down. Yeah, I think that's all I got for now. So my other tip, go forth, enjoy. There will be problems. There will be bugs. I have reported over 100 of those that I have reported. Over 60 have already been fixed. Many of the others are already in the backlog to be fixed. The game is getting better rapidly, so bear with it. There'll be, bug reports on the forums are obviously useful. I hope you enjoy. Please ask any questions in the comments. I will be posting more videos like this probably as I write down more and more tips as I continue to play. Thank you so very much for watching. I have 2 series up on the channel already. Channel members are able to watch all of those now. So if you feel like supporting me, then please do go ahead and do that. Apart from that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.